Welcome back, folks. It's been a couple of weeks.
daBudz.
daBudz made it back. It's been kind of a crazy couple of weeks. I haven't been able to join KB in this endeavor, so we're going to try and get some catching up done.
Catching up.
We've also got our man Cole. Coleman's back here. He's doing the producer work for us today.
Running the ones and twos.
What's up?
That's Cole the man.
Cole the man. So yeah,
You know how I love fun stats.
give me some fun stats. You do stats and history, man. Stats and history are kind of your thing.
And I think I sent you an article about this too. All right, since May 2nd, Scotty Scheffler, the golfer,
Yep.
right? He's got 3 wins on tour since May 2nd, which is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like winning a golf tournament a year is tough.
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
in a month, fantastic.
Right.
You know what 3 in a month is not fantastic?
Hmm.
When it's wins by a baseball team. Since May 2nd, the Colorado Rockies also have 3 wins. So Scotty Scheffler and the Colorado Rockies have the same amount of wins since May 2nd. Yeah.
Since May 2nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rockies are historically bad. And it's crazy because, like, last year, the White Sox were historically bad. They're still pretty goddamn bad this year. But the Rockies were like, hold my beer. You want to see bad baseball? Hold my beer. It's ridiculous.
I have not watched a single Rockies game this year.
They played
Doesn't sound like
the
I'm missing much.
Rangers a week or so ago,
Okay.
and I watched a little bit.
Okay.
And that, unfortunately, is where 2 of their 3 wins came from, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, because the Rangers can't hit.
I remember seeing, I guess that's true. I remember seeing one of those losses on my phone. It just puts the score right across the top. You know? But I haven't looked into it any further than that. Man, one of those, I saw the Rangers had like an 11-run game, and I was like, oh, the Bats have come back.
That was yesterday.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, or no, that was Friday. That was Friday
Yeah,
against the
yeah,
Cardinals. It made me mad because I bet the under.
Ah,
And the Rangers went over by themselves. They won 11-1.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, the Bats have come back. Well, next day. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah,
No.
they won 11-1, and then I think Saturday they lost like 2-1.
Yeah.
And then they ended up winning Sunday. I don't remember the final score, but they took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. The Cardinals aren't a bad ball club, so
Yeah.
that was nice to see. But yeah, no, the Bats are atrocious. It's so bad. They've tried to do things. So they called up a rookie.
I saw that. Yeah.
What's his name? Zona, something like that. He's hitting the ball well, making contact, getting on base. The problem is he's young. He doesn't have a lot of experience against left-handed hitters, so he's not in the lineup every day. So when you've got one guy as a spark,
Alejandro's, you know.
yeah, and he's not in the lineup every day, that makes it difficult. But they got Seager back from the injured list.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of myself right now because I said injured list.
Hey,
About
you did.
10, 15 years ago, they changed the name of the list from the disabled list
You
to
can't say
the
that.
injured list because disabled list offended Coleman.
Coleman, bro. Seriously, you ruined it for the rest of us.
He's a little sped. But yeah, and so I constantly say DL instead of
Yeah,
IL.
yeah. I mean, that's one of those interesting conversations. Like, you switched up the game. You're gonna have to give me a little space.
Yeah, but it took me over a decade.
Yeah.
It took me over a decade. But baseball's been fun, man. We missed it, but a couple of weeks ago, this was a fun thing. This is not on the schedule. This is just some notes I had from a few weeks ago I wanted to talk about. I'm going to find them now real quick, producing on the fly here. The Minnesota Twins, right, knocked off like 14 or 15 games in a row. And I found this fascinating because when they started this little win streak they had, it only got them to second place in the division at that time, right? It had over half their wins on the season at that point. I mean, they went 2 weeks without losing a game.
Yeah.
But they were so atrocious before that little streak that it only got them up to about second place. But yeah, so there's a lot of good stuff going on in baseball. If you're not watching, you should be. And speaking of stickball, if you're not watching the Women's College World Series or the Men's College World Series, you definitely should be. On the women's side, the number 1 seed was Texas A&M. And those punk-ass Aggies went out in the first round.
Yeah.
On the men's side, the number 1 and number 2 seeds, Vanderbilt and Texas
are out now.
both went out. And here was the best part about the Texas losing. On the men's side, they lost to UTSA. they asked somebody associated with Texas. This might have been AI. AI might have got me on this.
Okay.
But I don't care because it was fucking funny. They asked this guy that's up in the athletic department of Texas, supposedly, about losing to UTSA those 2 games, getting knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
And they asked him because the crowd was dead. If you were watching those games, so for those of you that don't know, that don't follow college ball, the way it works when it comes playoff time, right? They do 64 teams just like basketball. But instead of one and done, they put these 64 teams into 4-team regional tournaments. Mm-hmm. And the highest seed in each regional gets to host the regional. So UT, not only did they lose, they lost at home.
Right.
In this thing. And the crowd was fucking silent.
That's crazy.
There was no energy, no crowd support, which is crazy because historically UT is one of the best baseball programs in the country. Yeah. Right? And the crowd was fucking dead. Well, they asked this guy in the athletic department what his take on the crowd being dead was, and he goes, well, like 70% of our fan base actually graduated from UTSA, not UT, so they didn't know who the fuck to cheer for.
That's like, the best answer.
Yeah, because they're all t-shirt fans, right? Like most of them never had any association with the school, just growing up in the state, right? And not even family members going there. Yeah. And just, you know, Alejandro on the west side gave him like an orange t-shirt once, and they rode with it. Yeah. But yeah, it's so great.
I think that's interesting, man, because that kind of speaks to your fan base and your program as a whole, in my opinion. Like, what your fans are doing when things aren't going well, right? I think that's an important part of it. And if you can't take a loss, right, it's a big loss, don't get me wrong, but no emotion?
Yeah,
be mad.
There is a video, which I know is not AI, of during one of the UTSA UT games, there's a kid full burnt orange, right behind home plate, dropping the fucking horns down. Dropping the horns down.
Oh, shit.
Like, the fan base is so upset with the baseball program right now. Yeah. And not only that, it was even better. So their coach, and I don't remember his name. I don't remember the Texas baseball coach's name. But last year, he was at A&M. If we were doing this podcast last year, he would have been nominated for Scumbag, right? Yeah, right. Because he was at A&M in the College World Series. After one of the games, they asked him, because there were rumors he was taking the UT job. They asked him if he was taking the UT job. He went off on the media. Dog cussed these motherfuckers. Yeah. 8 hours later, he was the head coach of UT. 8 hours later, he was the head coach of UT. Now, they do these shticks if you watch games now, especially baseball games, in the pros and college, where they'll interview the manager from the dugout in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
so,
I've seen that.
Texas is losing to UTSA. They're interviewing the manager in the middle of the game. Now, keep in mind, this guy 12 months ago was in a similar position, but as the A&M coach. Yeah. So at the end of his interview, he meant to say hook 'em. Uh-oh. He accidentally said gig 'em. Uh-oh. So there's all sorts of salt in that wound. Oh. And it's hilarious. Oh. Every bit of it is.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
But if you're not watching, especially the girls, man. So Oklahoma is in the semifinals today. They lost to Texas. It's double elimination. They did lose a game to Texas. Texas already won their semifinal game today, so they're waiting in the finals. No. Oklahoma's got to play Tech at 6. If they beat Tech, they got to turn around and play Tech again because it's double elimination. Tech hadn't lost a game in the tournament yet. Okay. If they beat Tech both games, we get an OU Texas College World Series final on the softball side of things. Which is fucking amazing. And it's a rematch. So OU's won 4 in a row, 8 in the last 25 years or something like that. Yeah. Something crazy.
And OU going for 5?
Yeah, this is for their 5th in a row.
For their 5th in a row? Yeah.
And the team was full of freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
The team that won 4 in a row by last year was very senior-led.
Yeah.
All those girls graduated.
Right.
Right? And so this is a young team. If y'all fuck around and let Oklahoma win this one, you might not get another chance.
I watched the game. I watched the last inning of a game about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. About 2 weeks ago. And the ladies afterwards were, talking back and forth, the analysts.
Yeah, they hate OU.
Well, one of the ladies was like, this is a historic run. These ladies are going for their 5th. And if you think about that, and when she said this, it was like, oh, wow. If you put that into context, there are girls there who have never lost their entire, college career.
They were. I saw a TikTok. A bunch of the former players are there at the World Series, watching, cheering on the Sooners, And they did a TikTok where they're like that trend where it's like, I'm passing the phone to someone. And it was like, I'm passing the phone to somebody that's got 4 national championships.
Yeah.
I'm passing the phone to somebody that's got 5. I'm passing the phone to somebody that's got 3. Like, it was really cool to see. Not only that, like, Florida just got eliminated by OU, I think it was.
Yeah.
Their best player has a national championship ring because they transferred from OU. Nebraska made a run. Their best player has a national championship ring because she transferred from OU. Same thing at like Florida State, I think it is. Yeah. So it's cool to see. And one thing I love about these girls, man, these women. So there was a play the other day. OU lady was up to bat. Okay, takes it right off the head. Boom!
And she ran off and she was
jumping up, screaming, sprinting to first base.
She said, "Let's go!"
Because she realizes how important it is to get on base.
Exactly.
And they called a timeout after she made it to the base, made sure she was good.
I did see that, and I liked it. I liked every minute of it.
Tennessee.
There was no pain there.
No.
Didn't even
register. Excitement.
Yeah.
Tennessee's got a girl that throws 80.
Okay.
Now, if you only are familiar with baseball, and you're not fully comprehending what that is, in softball, number one, they're not coming off a mound.
Yeah.
Right? And number two, they're closer to the plate. So that 80-mile-an-hour pitch in softball is the equivalent of like a 100-mile-an-hour pitch in baseball, right?
Yeah.
Like it does. So in the first round at Oklahoma City, Tennessee played OU, and Tennessee dominated. Their third base coach, who's also their manager, was a little conservative. They should have had a few more runs. But going into the bottom of the 7th, so in softball they only play 7 innings. Going into the bottom of the 7th, Oklahoma was down 3-1.
Yeah.
And it looked like it, and I jumped on the different social medias, and OU softball has become the Tom Brady Patriots, the Patrick Mahomes Chiefs.
Yep.
Everybody, it was trending on X. Anyone but OU was trending on X.
Really?
And they were all going crazy because Oklahoma was about to lose a game, and all of a sudden, a couple girls get on base, and this beast named Ella Parker comes up to bat. She hit one so goddamn far, Scott. I don't know that motherfucker's landed yet. Like, it was out of the stadium.
Yeah.
This is the same stadium where they're going to have Olympic softball.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And it was out of the stadium, about 30 rows into the parking lot.
Good Lord.
Monster shot. And it was just nice to see the walk off, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you're a sports fan and you're not watching the women's or men's college World Series, you're missing out. It's literally the most underrated sporting event. Like I said, we start at 64. They do these regional championships. It's double elimination.
Yeah. And
then one team comes out of each region. They move on to the super regions. And then from there, on the women's side, they go to Oklahoma City. On the men's side, they go to Omaha.
Yeah.
And then that's the big thing too. A lot of the casuals are trying to say, well, of course Oklahoma wins every year. The World Series is in Oklahoma City. All their fans are there. Well, that hadn't exactly fucking helped Nebraska in baseball.
Yeah.
When the College World Series is in Omaha.
Right.
Or I think with Creighton or somebody like that's real close to Omaha too. So get the fuck out of here with that. They still got to win all the games to qualify.
Right.
But like, you know, they finished tied in for the SEC tournament championship because the game against A&M got rained out.
Right. I remember that.
Bullshit anyway. But they ended up tied there. That was the first time in something like over 2,000 days that Oklahoma had played a postseason game outside of the state of Oklahoma. Because the Big 12 tournament was always in OKC. And then, like I said, regionals, the highest rated team stays home. So OU always played their games in Norman. Super regional was usually in Norman because Oklahoma was always the 1 or 2 seed. But yeah, no, it's fun to watch these girls haul ass. And what I'm really fucking on the same note excited about, I don't know if you saw this story, Major League Baseball announced last week that they are investing in a softball league. They're creating essentially their own version of the WNBA.
Yeah. Which
I don't watch a lot of WNBA, but I would watch this league. Professional softball, or these girls, they're awesome. I mean, they rake, and so it's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah. So I was just doing some looking. It looks like the men won or lost rather
today. The OU men.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was watching that.
14-4.
Yeah. So in their regional,
yeah,
they it was crazy. They faced Nebraska. Their regional was North Carolina, who's the 5th ranked team in the country. So it was there at North Carolina, and then Nebraska, OU, and like Holy Cross.
Okay. Yeah.
So the first matchups were North Carolina against like Holy Cross. They kicked their ass. And then Oklahoma beat Nebraska. So then Oklahoma had to play North Carolina, lost to them.
Yeah.
So then the Nebraska and Holy Cross both had one loss. They played each other. Nebraska won. Holy Cross is eliminated.
Yeah.
So then Holy Cross had to play OU again. Oklahoma beat them 17-1, right? Which is crazy for a baseball score. And then OU had to play North Carolina again last night. They won that game, like 9-5, I think. And so then today was the final elimination game in that region.
Okay,
and,
gotcha.
Yeah, it was a bloodbath. Same thing we observed when we were there with the OU team.
Yeah.
They're not very good defensively.
Right.
They got great pitching. They hit for average. They don't have a lot of power in the lineup. Here's what it was is first inning, top of the first inning, North Carolina's got a runner on first, 2 outs. There's a ball hit to the shortstop. He catches it off balance. The second baseman doesn't get to the bag, so they can't get the force out at second. Off balance, he tries to throw to first, recognizes he's not going to get the guy second. He tries to throw to first, brings the first baseman off the bag. So what should have been a routine play and ended the inning?
Yeah.
Now you got 2 outs runners on first and second. Well, the next three, 4 guys hit the ball really well.
Yeah.
And North Carolina scored 3 runs in the first.
Ugh.
Oklahoma came back in the second with a 2-run shot. It was 3-2. But then there were some other miscues, and it just got out of hand quick.
Yeah, I mean like you said, that's exactly what we were seeing while we were there. The
defense is suspect.
It was the fundamentals that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Those were completely missing, and they were just relying on talent, and that only gets you so far.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things that you have to realize is sometimes you're just not that talented, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it requires hard work. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. You know, when I was that fundamentals thing, I was coaching Little League, and I think the kids were frustrated with me because I didn't like all the backhand stuff and all the the tricks and not getting your body in front of it, trying to reach out and stab it, or setting yourself up to have to dive for it. And I'm like, yo, cut that out. Are you here to win, or are you here to be flashy? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want from this? And then I'll coach that direction because I want to win.
Right.
That's what I'm here for. I want to win. But
Well,
yeah,
win and do it the right way.
and I think that's the mentality of a lot of kids coming out into professional sports now. They're all looking for that Madden moment, the show.
Yeah,
moment.
it's the Sports Center top 10.
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Instead of playing the fundamentals, they want everything to be like that, and I just don't see how that's sustainable. I mean, obviously it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. It's not, and fundamentals is the way you win, and we've talked about it a lot with the Brewers, right?
Yeah.
They're winning games right now. They move runners over. They take the extra base. They hit and run. They manufacture runs. They bunt.
I was just looking at that article. I talked to you about that a little bit earlier. I have to pull it up, but the Brewers. Why can't I remember his name now?
Sid?
Sal?
Or Sal?
Sal. So he is he's just sub 400 hitter. Gets on bag, right? He gets on the bag, and then when he's there, he works really well, stealing, pressuring the pitcher. Exactly. So, but what he's not is a home run hitter, and that was the whole premise of the article, was that you've got these folks that are becoming, your journeyman players. They've been there for a while. They know what they're doing. They're not flashy.
Yeah.
They just get the job done. And they were exactly that. They were talking about how the Brewers have really gotten back to that at the heart of baseball.
Back to that flashy and maybe over celebration type stuff. I forget who it was. It was one of the Astros the other day. He was on third, hit a triple, right? On third, starts jumping up and down on the bag. The third baseman saw the ball and just went, everybody jumped up in the air.
And he was out. See, that's it. That's that bullshit. You celebrate, cool, but don't take your head out of the game.
Yeah, call timeout.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what it was. Is he was staring in. The Astros were in the third base dugout. He was staring at his team, cheering with them.
Yeah.
They were hyping him up. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
And fuck out of here.
Made a stupid mistake. Well, I mean, that's what you get. Hopefully he learns from that. But that's exactly it. I mean, everybody wants that big moment. Nobody wants to be that guy who sits out in right field, does his job, and slugs 400.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that anymore. But the article said that's making a comeback, and the manager for the Brewers was saying, yeah, that's what we have here. but I'm also seeing that out in the business or the rest of the league as well. Is one of the things he said is pitching has gotten so good that you can't hit like that all the time.
Yeah, because
right?
guys nowadays have 4, 5, 6 pitches in their arsenal.
Yeah, right. And he said, basically alluding to that, he said they have figured out how to avoid the big hit, how to avoid the home run. So now you need those players that are just going to get you on bag, and then you set up your big slugger, right? Your Otanis, your Youngs, that kind of thing. But yeah, I kind of liked hearing it because it felt like it feels like it's a return to the game.
Well, and to the point too, so many of your sluggers now, like in the 90s, even the early 2000s, and then going back even further, your big power hitters, a lot of times they were one-dimensional, right? Like I remember the Rangers had a guy back in the day, Pete Incaviglia, right? Pete Incaviglia used to bat about 220, 215.
Yeah.
He hit 20, 30 bombs.
Right.
You know, he either struck out or hit a bomb.
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, you got guys like Ohtani, go 50-50. He's going to get 50 home runs and still get 50 bases.
Right.
Acuna with the Braves. One of the most talented players I've ever seen in my life.
Amazing.
You know, when he's healthy, 40-40 guy. He had been out all season, right? He got injured last year or in spring training or something. Been out all season. His first at bat back the other night, home run.
Bam.
Yeah. First
Just
pitch.
like that.
First pitch. Boom.
No kidding.
Yeah. It was
That's
awesome.
beautiful.
It
Now,
was awesome.
don't get me wrong. I love to see the home run.
Oh yeah, chicks dig the long ball.
Of course they do. But that's the thing that I think you lose out on is when it does happen all the time, it's like, it's just another home run, right? It's just, But when you have players that are putting it in play on the field, making that happen, and then you hit the big, it's special, right? It's special. It was special because 62 wasn't for everybody.
Right.
Right? That's what made it special. Yeah.
Yeah, to your point, 62, Maris, he was hitting 300, so that year. Mantle, before he got hurt, was hitting that too. Speaking of Mantle, and he brought up 62. Great baseball story, okay?
All right.
So, Mickey Mantle had a pulled groin.
Okay.
Had to come out of a game, right? This was in Yankee Stadium, in the old Yankee Stadium, back behind, I think it was left field. They had a little tunnel back there, So Mantle said the story, hey man, I pulled my groin and had to come out of the game, and I'm motioning with this little female in the stands, come on down here with me now. He said, well, she wanted to fuck. I pulled groin. So instead, all she did was give me a blowjob. When she was done, she had it in her mouth and said, what do I do with this? I said, hell, I don't know. I'm not a cocksucker.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Boy gave no fucks.
Yeah, the Mick was the great. Another great Mickey Mantle story. Him and Billy Martin. Billy Martin was the manager of the Yankees, and there's some legendary party stories about Mantle and Martin, right? Well, Mantle and Martin were going hunting together in South Texas, okay? And Mickey had gotten permission from the owner of the land for them to be there hunting. But he decided he was going to play a joke on Billy Martin, right? So the condition for them to go hunting is the owner of the land was like, look, I've got this old horse. It's in poor health, and I need to put him down, and I can't do it. I love this animal, and I can't be the one that does it. But if you're going to go out there and hunt, I need you to shoot my horse.
Okay. So
Mantle, he gets there with Martin, if I remember the story correctly, goes up into the owner's house or whatever, decides he's going to play a little joke on Billy Martin. Comes back out, he goes, that son of a bitch won't let us fucking hunt here, I'm going to show him, and he shoots the horse. Right? Shoots the fucking horse. Billy Martin gets his gun, he mows down 3 fucking cows. Boom! Boom! Boom!
Oh!
I was like, I was kidding. We were supposed to kill the horse.
His dude was like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm down. Good Lord.
My grandfather, rest his soul, had an amazing Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin story too. This famous restaurant in New York that they used to go party at, Martin and Billy. Grandfather got up, went to the restroom or something, came back in the kitchen, door opened, and there's fucking Billy Martin and Mickey Mantle in the kitchen just getting sauced. And they see my grandfather, hey, come over here, have a couple drinks with us.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
I would love that.
Oh, yeah.
Just hanging out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I would have nerded out, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a fanboy moment. Like, I take pride in the fact that when I see people out, like stars, baseball players, this kind of thing, I'm not going up and asking them for an autograph. They're just trying to live their life, right? They're from A to B.
If
if that happened,
presents itself,
yeah,
I'll get a little fist bump.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't even need the picture or
But
anything like
exactly.
that. But yeah, at the moment, hey, come take a shot. You're goddamn right. I am.
Yeah, but if that happened, I am 100%.
I did shadier shit with people that weren't famous. So, as a matter of fact, Saturday night. So, it's June.
It is June.
It means NBA Finals.
Oh yeah, we're there.
NBA Finals.
And
we're there.
It seems like that's been a bit of a trudge, to be honest with you. Like
The NBA spaces out their playoffs.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah. I haven't. I don't know. There was so much drama coming into it. I was like, this is going to be a great finals, and then there just hasn't been a lot of spark.
I've enjoyed the playoffs. I really enjoyed that Knicks Pacers series. You know, part of the problem is too. What's his name when Boston got hurt?
Yeah.
And Tatum.
That's a good point.
And so then the Knicks
That
got past there. And that changed a lot of it. And, you know, the number one seed in the East went out. Cavs went out by the Pacers. I mean, this Pacers team, they remind me. You love a good sports movie.
Love it.
You ever seen Hoosiers?
No.
You've never seen Hoosiers?
I don't think I've ever seen
Oh,
Hoosiers.
shit. So Hoosiers is a story about a gritty basketball team from Indiana. It's a high school team that goes on and wins the state championship. Gene Hackman's in it. You need to see that. Gene Hackman plays the coach.
Maybe that does something.
Yeah, it's one of the all-time greatest sports movies ever. But this Pacers team has a lot of that Hoosiers mentality. And one thing I really like about this Pacers team is Rick Carlisle, their coach. I think he's the best currently active coach in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Now, the Popovich is officially retired.
Yeah.
And Carlisle's that guy.
Yeah.
And Carlisle reminds me a lot. You remember a baseball manager? He managed the Rangers and the Yankees and the Orioles. He's been around, and I think he's actually still in the game right now. Buck Showalter.
Yeah.
Buck, he's actually, I think, with the Orioles now. Buck is a guy, he's a hard nose, he's an asshole. And what happens is a team comes in, or he comes into a team, and immediately gets results. He immediately turns them around.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, though, the team stops listening to him because he is too much of a hard ass. And what every team did, right? He was with the Yankees, had them on the cusp of winning the World Series, kind of lost the team. They replaced him with a players manager with Joe Torre.
Yeah.
Boom, that team went on a run.
Yeah.
5 or 6 World Series, right? That 90s Yankees team. He goes to the Rangers, has them in the playoffs, has them like, man, this young Rangers team is really, really talented. He overrode them, rode them hard. They got rid of him.
Yeah.
They brought in a players manager in Ron Washington. Mm-hmm. Boom, back-to-back World Series appearances, right?
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing. And Carlisle has that similar reputation, right, of a bit of a hard ass.
Yeah.
It happened in Dallas. So one thing I like about this Pacers team is because of Carlisle, Oklahoma City is a huge favorite to win this series. On paper, they should win this series in 5 games.
Right.
Right? That is what everybody said about the Dallas Mavericks in, 2011?
Okay.
When they beat the Big Three, when they beat LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. Yeah. Carlisle was the coach of that team, of that Mavericks team. And so I like that a lot. And so me personally, with Tyrese Halliburton leading the way, I've got the Pacers in 6.
Okay.
Again, don't bet on this. Because on paper, there is no reason the Oklahoma City Thunder shouldn't win this series. I actually had a little conversation earlier today with our NBA expert, and that's what he said too. He goes, man, he's not giving the Pacers any chance.
Really?
No chance at all.
No chance.
He says Thunder in 4 or 5.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You know, the Thunder have been pretty good. Oh, obviously they've been outstanding throughout the season, but not a whole lot of people were giving them a lot of a chance early on.
No, and I think that's because last year it was the same story. The Thunder were the 1 seed coming into the playoffs, ran through the first and second round, went to the conference finals where they got smoked by Dallas.
Yeah.
When Dallas had a fat drunk point guard that they traded.
So I just went to CVS and they're talking about their picks, right? So we've got, 6 people that are making picks. Botkin, whoever he is, Thunder in 5.
Mm-hmm.
Herbert, Thunder in 6. Maloney, Thunder in 6. Quinn, Thunder in 5. Ward, Heiniger, Thunder in 7. Wimbish, Thunder in 6. So
that seems to be the
Pacers aren't getting a
consensus.
chance.
But like the Pacers in game 1 against the Knicks were down 20 in the second half, came back and won that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This Pacers team doesn't die.
Right.
They never say quit. They don't die.
I love a scrappy team.
They fight it. They're scrappy. Now, where the Thunder have the big advantage is on defense. It's unusual for a Carlisle team, but this Pacers team doesn't play very good defense.
Yeah.
And the Thunder do. And so I think that'll eliminate some of these open shots that Indiana creates. But I'm on the bandwagon, man. I like what the Pacers have done. And I've always liked that franchise.
Yeah.
I have. When I was a kid, I was a big Larry Bird fan. And he went on to become the coach there and president. And I'm not sure if he still has something to do with the organization or not, but I always kind of liked that franchise. They, we're Spurs fans. The Pacers go back with the Spurs to the old ABA.
Yeah.
And they've never won one, where the Thunder have. They were the Sonics at the time, but the Thunder have a championship, and the Pacers don't. And I think I'm just pulling for the Pacers here.
Yeah, man. I mean, that seems to be the general consensus, at least across CBS. I looked at a couple of other things on Yahoo. There's a lot of consensus there. Like nobody's counting the Pacers in.
Yeah. Now I don't bet a lot of basketball, but I will tell you this, even though I'm propping up the Pacers here. If the Pacers win game 1, I'm going to load up on the Thunder in game 2. There's a weird basketball anomaly in the playoffs where the favorite team loses game 1, they come back and destroy in game 2.
Interesting.
In the first round, the Lakers were a huge favorite over the Timberwolves, right? And Timberwolves won that series in 5.
Yeah. They
stole game 1. Well, if you go look at it, they got blown out in game 2. Lakers beat their ass in game 2, and I cleaned up on that. So something to keep an eye on if you're looking for a betting angle.
Yeah. I was just looking at this. It's actually kind of interesting. He's saying that one of the things that you have to watch in this, and I think I'm going to now, turnovers. And obviously that's an obvious kind of throwaway statement, but in this situation, saying that, the Pacers don't turn the ball over.
Right.
Thunder feast on making people turn the ball over.
They create turnovers.
Exactly.
Their defense is suffocating.
Exactly.
So the Thunder, if you go look at their structure, the guy that runs the organization is Sam Presti.
Okay.
Sam Presti was the assistant GM under Pop for years.
Okay.
So they build their team on youth and defense.
Yeah.
Just like the Spurs did when they were great. So there's a lot of that style, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's where the scrappiness comes from. You got these young folks that are trying, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. A little bit, probably a big ass chip on their shoulder at this stage. So I think that I'm looking at that, and I need to do more research on the matchup itself. But that I think is one of the cleanest points that somebody's made in this article and a couple of others that I've read, pointing out that there's an actual tangible mechanical thing that you can watch. It's not just all about, the Thunder is just so good, or the Pacers are, young, blah, 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 whatever. No, these guys create turnovers, and this team does not turn the ball over. And because turnovers are such an important part of basketball, I think that might be the crux of it. That'll be interesting to watch. I'm going to have to make sure that I turn on these games. It's the finals, you got to. You can't miss the finals out of any sport. Honestly, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't. Yeah. Like I said, I've not.
Unless it's cricket. Fuck cricket.
A lot of stuff that happens in the NBA has turned me off to the sport over the years. It's not the same style of game that we grew up watching, right? They've taken some of the physicality out.
It's all threes.
It's a lot of threes.
To the bucket. Yep.
And then some of the players are just douchey in their real life, and that makes it difficult.
Something I heard the other day, it really pissed me off, but I had to acknowledge it as true. That style of basketball, that aggressive, bang into the board, that's my kind of basketball. I love to watch that, like you just said. one of the best representations of that style of basketball is Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
I went back and looked at his play.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was like, God damn it, he's right.
When he's healthy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know, he hadn't been very often since his time here.
Right.
You know, there's actually so there's a great podcast that is Steven Jackson, who former NBA player, and Matt Barnes, maybe is the other guy with him.
Okay.
I forget. I think it's called The Smoke. But anyway, they have old players on, right, to tell stories. Well, they just did one with Danny Green.
Okay.
Where they, you know, Steven Jackson was on those Spurs teams too, because he had another stint with the Spurs there when Kawhi was there. They had Danny Green, and they really talked about what it was that soured that relationship between Kawhi and the Spurs.
Well,
had a lot to do with Kawhi's uncle.
Yeah.
Kawhi didn't necessarily trust the medical staff there. There were some issues there, and,
Okay.
and some where Kawhi was probably right, you know.
Okay.
But he kind of stayed away from the team and was doing his own thing. And then if you remember, thinking back to then, the season before, okay, in the playoffs that year, the Spurs were playing, this is when Golden State was going on their run.
Right.
They were playing Golden State, and they had Golden State on the ropes. They had Golden State on the ropes, and Tony Parker tore his quad, I think it was, something like that, and was out, and then Kawhi was hurt, and they had, Tony and Kawhi had the same injury. And we were left with Manu and a very shell of his former self, Tim Duncan.
Right.
And ended up losing the series, right? Well, the next season, get a month or so in, Tony's playing. Where's Kawhi?
Yeah.
Right? So a reporter asked Tony, "Why you're playing? Why didn't Kawhi?" Tony's like, "We had the same injury. I don't know why he's missing more time than I am. He's not around." And ripped into him a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, Steven Jackson's point is, nobody on the Spurs talks without permission. Everybody knows that.
That's a good point.
Pop told Tony to say that.
Interesting. Or at least okayed it.
Yeah. And so
Interesting.
there was a lot there. But I highly recommend that podcast. If you go and seek it out, you just want one episode to watch, the Vernon Maxwell episode. Mad Max, he talks about his time here in San Antonio too. He kind of shit on the city a little bit. But he has some amazing stories about, you know, going one-on-one with Jordan, playing with Akeem. He tells a great story about Akeem Olajuwon slapping the shit out of him. Like just open hand. Maxwell went off on Akeem in the locker room. Yeah. Akeem told him to chill out. He didn't. And
Could you imagine the size of that hand across your head?
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, look up Akeem the Dream. Like that man, 7 foot African, just slapped the shit out of you.
No. They gave him the Matumbo.
Gave him the Matumbo.
They gave him the Matumbo.
Yeah. But the Vernon Maxwell episode has some amazing stories. You should definitely check that out. I believe it's called The Smoke or something like that. Yeah. And yeah, it's good. They talk a lot about the off the court life. They do a fantastic episode. They have Reggie Miller on, and they do a fantastic episode about the Malice in the Palace. Steven Jackson was involved in that shit too. And Miller was there. And so great podcast if you have time. Look for a good listen. I highly recommend those guys.
You know what else the finals means?
What's that?
Bro, it means we're one step closer to football.
Football.
God bless, man.
Football.
I am so ready for football.
I got a confession. I'm doing it again.
What are you doing?
Buying into the Cowboys.
God damn it. You know, I saw an article earlier that Dak Prescott and his wife are having a new kid.
Okay.
And I was wondering why it is his swimmers can get to the egg, but he can't. Like, I don't understand.
So, I know everybody shit on the coaching hire, on Schottenheimer. I did a little deeper dig into this recently.
Yeah,
and
you sent me
followed
some
his
interesting
coaching tree.
Yeah.
You know, he was an assistant on that 1996 University of Florida championship team.
Yeah.
A couple of the coaches on that team, the head coach was Steve Spurrier. The defense coordinator was Bob Stoops.
Yeah.
You know, now Schottenheimer's dad, legendary coach Marty Schottenheimer. Right. So this guy's got the pedigree. And then I was looking at some of the stuff he's doing. You know, they've taken Dak and they've redone his cadence. They've broken his cadence.
I saw that.
And
which I think
for it.
So here's the thing. Yes, make those changes. It is so late in his career to be making those changes.
Yeah, is it though? Go back and look at the steps players, quarterbacks specifically, take in year 7. Dak's 7th year as starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. His numbers for the first 6 years when healthy are very similar to Drew Brees' numbers the first 6 years of his career.
Yeah.
Right? Year 7, his numbers went to another level.
Interesting.
Right? Don't know if Dak's that guy. I don't think that he necessarily. I mean, he's not Drew Brees, obviously, right? But
Drew Brees.
He's talented. He's good. If he's got the right coaching around him, if Jerry is really going to let Shoddy run the team, then man, I'm in for it for this Cowboys season. And you know me, I broke up with the Cowboys a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Even not last year, but the year before, when they were doing good and you were getting excited, I was like, man, they're just going to hurt your feelings.
And they did.
They're just going to hurt your feelings. Being a Cowboys fan is like being in an abusive relationship.
It is.
No, I promise I'm going to change. I'm going to change, and then you run into another door and get another black eye.
Yeah, that ought to be run into the. Yeah, I wonder where that black eye came from.
Yeah.
No, man, I think that I'm not getting bought in. I understand the changes that we're making. Drew Brees never sat on the bench and said we fucking suck. Right?
Did he? Are you sure?
Well, we didn't catch it.
Because he played at Purdue and played for the Chargers.
We didn't catch it. So I think that that speaks to the mindset, right? If I feel like even back in the day, if he had said that to somebody, it would have made the news.
But you know who we did catch saying that? Very similar things when he was a Cowboys quarterback. Troy goddamn Aikman. When Switzer was the coach of the Cowboys,
and it was undisciplined at the team.
Yeah, there's interviews out there where he talks about going in and telling the team.
Yeah, but see, there's a nuance there that's important to me. That's a, bro, get your shit together moment. Whereas what Dak did was, I gave up.
But when Dak did it, he was right. They did fucking
I'm not
suck.
saying he's not.
Right? I mean,
being right and being leader are two fucking different things.
Put me in a position to defend Dak, okay?
Bro, you're the one who took that mantle.
Yeah. No, when we did our episode about the wide receiver tandem,
yeah,
we both sat and gave you the reasons why this CD Lamb Pickens thing might not work.
Right.
But if it does,
there's a lot of upside.
And I like the little running back we drafted from Texas, the blue kid. Yeah, man.
We'll see.
I think the defense is going to be very good. I think the offensive line has some questions.
Right.
But we drafted that guard from Alabama in the first round.
Yeah.
Is your buddy still an lineman there? Your guy that you yell at every game?
Steal, yeah. Yes.
But I don't think he's
bastard.
starting anymore, is he?
I don't know. Let's find out. I hope not. That right there gives me more confidence, bro. Steele is man. I have a hard time saying this because I was a lineman, but I was never at his level, right? Obviously, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
Fucking.
We'd be in a much nicer studio.
But I know, but I know enough about the game to say, dude, what are you doing? He's slow on his feet. He's always holding or, it's some sort of illegal activity with his hands. He's always, in 2 seasons ago, not as much last season, but 2 seasons ago, he was a real problem. He had, I can't remember the number now, but it was a significant portion of their offensive penalties and yards lost were because of him. It's just a frustrating thing. Now, speaking of other linemen, did you see that Detroit center is going to retire?
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Okay, I did not see that.
Yeah, and that'll be big for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a huge issue for them. And then, did you see their schedule?
The Cowboys schedule?
No.
Oh, the
Detroit?
Lions?
Yeah.
I didn't look at the Lions real close. I mean, I watched a bunch of the fun little schedule release videos that teams do nowadays.
Yeah.
And the Colts had the best one, but they took it down because it offended people.
What was it?
So they did a Minecraft animation.
Yeah.
And they did a fun little Minecraft thing with each team they were playing. Well, when they got to the Dolphins, because they're playing the Dolphins this year, they had Minecraft like on a Coast Guard boat come up and arrest a dolphin in a Tyreek Hill jersey and had him cuffed on the ground.
They shouldn't have.
And they removed it. And as soon as they took it down, Tyreek Hill tweeted, shouldn't have taken it down. That shit was funny.
Yes, exactly.
They should have put it back up after that.
Yeah, but people were mad. There was, I think the Cardinals or somebody else did a Minecraft one as well.
So, check this out. September 7th, the very first game, Packers. Next game, Bears. Depends on what they do.
Bears are going to be better this year. Packers are going to be good this year.
Packers are going to be good. The Bears, we'll see what they do. Ravens. Well, we know where that's at. Yeah. Then they get the Browns. So I think there's some, that should be a win for them.
So that's week 3?
Yes, that's correct.
So will that be the Dylan Gabriel-led Browns?
Oh, so that's week 4.
Week 4?
That's
so,
week 4.
So are we still going to have Flacco there, or Gabriel, or Sanders, or that's going to be fun to watch.
We need to take this down. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think it's Gabriel.
You think it's
Gabriel? I think it's Flacco to start the year.
Yeah.
And as soon as the Browns are out of contention, because they're not a very good team, they will be.
Yeah.
I think they go Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe even Shador and the kid they traded for from Pittsburgh, Pickett. Kenny Pickett.
Pickett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That he'll get to start. I think they got 5 quarterbacks in that quarterback room. There was a rumor the other day that Shador, I guess, his OTA workouts were not impressive, right?
Doesn't.
And if he does not perform better in training camp, he is not immune from getting cut.
Right.
Remember, just because a lot of you thought he should be a first rounder, doesn't mean he was. And first rounders don't get cut their rookie year.
Yeah.
But 5th rounders do.
5th rounders, sure.
And that's where he went. And so that's something to keep an eye on too.
So after the Browns, they've got Bengals, Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, Eagles, Giants, a little reprieve, Packers, Cowboys, we'll see what that is, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, and then they end with the Bears in January. Like, the meat of their schedule is a gauntlet.
Yeah, and that division stuff, because I do think the Bears are going to be a lot better. I like what they did in the draft. I like what they've done in free agency.
I like what they've done with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think they've got a good coaching staff.
I do too, with Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
And then the Packers are a young, up-and-coming team too. And then the Vikings, I don't know what they're going to be this year with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback, but they were, a 13-14 win team last year?
Yeah.
I
can't imagine they get worse.
I think there's a very real possibility they're worse.
I don't know that they get worse.
If J.J. McCarthy doesn't play as well as Sam Darnold did, they will be worse.
I don't see how he couldn't play better than Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold was great last year.
So don't misunderstand.
Just last year. Sam
Don't misunderstand.
And J.J. McCarthy was average at Michigan. And now he's coming off a major knee injury.
I think a lot of what happened with Darnold was coaching.
I
think that's going to be
maybe.
I think that's going to have a massive impact on McCarthy.
But you got a quarterback with less arm strength and a bum knee. And the coaching only gets you so far. Yeah. He's going to make decisions. He's going to make good decisions if he listens to the coaching. But when he was at Michigan, they were a dink and dunk team, right? So he's not exactly known for getting the ball down the field to Armon St. Brown.
Maybe that's not what he necessarily has to be.
But that's how that offense is built.
That's how it was built. We'll see what they do with it. Yeah.
So I think there's some big time drop off. So every year in the NFL,
you mean Jefferson?
Huh?
You mean
Jefferson.
Yeah,
we're talking about Detroit. Jefferson and Athens.
I was like, did he get traded?
No.
That would be deadly.
But every year in the NFL, I forget the exact number. We can go look it up. But there's 3 or 4 teams that made the playoffs one year that don't the next year.
Yeah.
The Vikings are my prime candidate for a team that was great last year that will not make the playoffs this year. Last year, the Cowboys.
Sure.
Were one, right?
Yeah.
They were in the playoffs year before.
Yeah.
So the Vikings, if you look back at the NFC playoff teams from last year, right? Washington got better.
Yeah.
Detroit's still loaded.
Yep. Washington's going to be a fun team.
Yeah. Philly, the Super Bowl champion, still loaded, right? The Packers are still good. And like I said, in that division, there's no days off. I wouldn't be surprised if every team in that division splits with the other teams. Every team goes 1-1 in the division.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, to me, the Vikings are that prime candidate. And then later in a couple months, we'll have a big NFL preview.
Yeah.
But to me, the Vikings are that prime candidate to be a team that goes from the playoffs to not in the playoffs the next year.
Interesting.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that'll be an interesting topic for discussion. I don't view them that way, but obviously it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And you want another hot take?
Hit me.
I see the Ravens as a similar team.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that. So you've got a group that have, and even with Jackson, he's made some really selfless decisions on how he plays the game.
Mm-hmm.
He's made some changes, and the team has made some changes for him, and it still didn't work. I don't know if he's going to be able to recover from that.
Yeah, and then I was thinking more along the lines of, if I remember correctly, that team's offensive line's pretty old, aging.
Yep.
And then you got Derrick Henry, who was phenomenal last year, has been phenomenal through most of his
He's
career.
aging as well.
But running backs only have so much tread on the tires, right?
Yeah. And he doesn't run easy. He's not a nuanced runner. I'm going to run you over. Mm-hmm. And that just
he runs very similar to Saquon Barkley, except for he's 3 or 4 years older.
Yeah.
So that's another one.
So also in NFL news, Diggs.
Oh yeah, we just talked about this. I forgot all about this.
Diggs has been making some really bad decisions and putting them on the internet.
Yeah. So if you didn't see the video, and I think we have an article about it. If you didn't see the video, this man's on a boat with 4 or 5 bikini-clad women, right? And good-looking women. Good on you, Diggs. You got that wide receiver 1 money. He's on a boat, and in the video, you see him open a case, and in the case, he's got several individual baggies with what appears to be like little pink rocks in them. I don't know what that is. I can assume.
Let's find out.
Now, I heard somebody on the Pat McAfee show say that it was Pop Rocks, and he had them individually bagged because you don't want to drop a bunch of Pop Rocks into the ocean. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine? It's like the Alka-Seltzer.
Time out, I'm going to interrupt you. Go, because you can't see this. This fucking thing, it said you are asking about an illicit drug. Providing information about such substances is not possible. That's the AI from Google.
That's crazy.
I feel like it should be able to give an answer as long as it's not telling you how to make it.
Now, it does give me the DEA, and it apparently that is pink cocaine.
Oh, okay. I didn't know cocaine came in multiple colors.
You know what?
It's Pride Month Peruvian.
I was just about to say that. That is just cocaine getting in the spirit of Pride Month.
I can't believe Google was like, nah.
No. That's hilarious. That is too good.
So he pulls out these bags of little pink, what we
allegedly, right?
Well, it was pink. We know that.
It was pink, and allegedly. And here's the other thing: we've talked about this before. You can't cause trouble for your team and no longer be good. 100%. Diggs last year had the knee injury.
Right.
He's now with a new team, right? And this is his 3rd team in 3 years or whatever.
And he wasn't doing great when he went to the Texans.
Well, yeah. So Diggs was always wide receiver 1 everywhere he was. Minnesota, Buffalo, wide receiver 1. And man, he took a step back. It happens. We all age. Take a step back. So when he got to the Texans, he was wide receiver 2. And I will say this: you said he wasn't doing great. I had him on my fantasy team. He actually was putting up numbers for me before the injury with Houston, and that's because Nico.
No, I wasn't talking about Houston. Sorry, before while he was still on the Bills.
Yeah.
He was a downhill trajectory.
Yeah.
Now last year he did all right, but he was number 2.
He went to a team where he could be the number 2.
Right.
A team that had a dominant running back in Joe Mixon.
Right.
And in some games he was the number 3 because don't forget about Tank Dell before he got hurt.
Right. That's true.
But Diggs was putting up numbers. He was making the most of his opportunities, right? And what appeared was being a good citizen, was coaching up the younger guys that were at him on the depth chart. So it looked like he was doing good, and that's why the Patriots signed him, and he was looking to be wide receiver 1 there for the Patriots for their young nucleus. And
just
now there's rumors that the Patriots are discussing cutting him.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see how you can't. There has to be repercussions. So this is the thing. I don't think inherently drugs make you a bad person, right?
No.
I don't think they speak to your character as much as people think they do.
No, not at all. I agree with that.
Now, with that said, you are in the public spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
You have an image that must be upheld. You have to make better decisions.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. People look up to you. you can't, like you said, you can't come out and be mediocre or even better than average and expect to be able to make these kinds of decisions.
We both have day jobs.
Yeah.
We're not Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Because we both have day jobs, you're not going to see us get on here and doing pink cocaine or
yeah.
You know what
exactly.
I mean? Like, you know, yeah.
Bro, I would be going with the traditional white cocaine, all right?
I don't know, that white shit might have fentanyl in it.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The pink one could too.
I was a pink fentanyl.
Oh, man.
Pink, that's the purple color that's in it.
Yeah.
We're going to go for the full rainbow.
In the Pride Coke.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting, right? And we are getting away from a place where I think, you know, even your stars, because everything is so publicly available. You know, we talked about that story the other day where Michael Irvin cut dude's neck with a pair of fucking scissors at the barbershop.
Yeah.
That went away. I didn't know that was a thing until years later. They were able to sweep that under the rug.
Well, and man, those 90s Cowboys, they were smart.
Yeah.
They partied, like, they were doing the pink cocaine, right? The white cocaine.
The green cocaine.
Nate Newton was driving around with U-Hauls full of marijuana.
Yeah.
But they were smart.
Yes.
They bought a house together. The team did.
Oh, okay. That's where they partied.
That was the White House.
Yeah.
You've heard stories about the White House.
Yeah.
That was a fucking house that players on the team had that was down the street from the practice facility. And it was like, this is where we're partying. You're not going to be on camera out at the club and on the news tonight.
That's perfect.
And I don't understand, especially in this day and age of social media, when these players don't have something set up like that.
So that's exactly my point. In today's world, you have to be so buttoned up because everywhere is a camera. I have a camera. You have a camera. And we're just walking down the streets with these things pointed at the sky all the time, ready to take a video because anything could be the next viral. So the idea that you're sitting on this boat partying with these girls and one of these girls isn't going to have a phone and put that on Instagram?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, what are you doing, bro?
And
Use your brain.
And you know, you can't see the person recording. It might have been just some like other dude on the boat that was jealous that he wasn't getting any play from the females.
Yeah, man, that's equally possible. Look, if that is possible, that dude's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He needs to be thrown overboard. Why you got to do your boy like that? Well, yeah. No, I think that, man, I think that it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this and see. I assume it's probably going to be a fine, maybe a team suspension of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, it's the Patriots, so we'll never know. They're not going to publicly broadcast it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we'll see. That'll be interesting. Man, but that's it. That's the deal. All these stories are already bubbling.
Yeah,
and
it just takes a second, and then all of a sudden, boom,
yeah.
1 million views, 2 million views,
Yep.
10 million views. Like,
I mean, like old Ryan Clark there, right?
Ryan Clark.
Bro, talk about a viral moment.
So, you know, we missed last week, so we're talking about doing 2 scumbags this week.
Yeah, we're doing 2 scumbags this week. That's right.
We brought in a couple of nominations. I nominated Ryan Clark as mine.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan Clark, here's what happened if you didn't see the story, right? The story's about a week old now, so I'm sure maybe a lot of people have seen it. Angel Reese, Scott's favorite player, and Caitlin Clark got into a little scuffle. Not even really a scuffle. Caitlin Clark fouled Angel Reese somewhat hard. Angel Reese flopped and went on the ground and then got up like she was going to fight.
But the foul was a basketball play.
Yeah, it was a good foul.
It was a good foul.
Smart foul. Got up like she was going to fight. Caitlin Clark went away. RG3, Robert Griffin III, put out a tweet that said, "You can see from this, Angel Reese really hates that girl." Right? And then he went into a little more context, pointed out, you know, their rivalry in college and and things Reese has said too, right?
Yeah.
Where there seems to be at least, if not hatred, maybe a little professional jealousy where
Right.
Reese feels like she should be maybe more of the face of the league than she is, and seeing this.
And
other
that's
girl
definitely
getting
what it
attention.
is. Yeah, I agree.
There's that going there. Now, Ryan Clark, ESPN's Ryan Clark, then made a video saying that RG3 is not allowed to speak on that because he's not married to a black woman and he doesn't understand the struggles that a black woman goes through.
What an absurd comment.
Especially an absurd comment when you cheated on your black wife with a white woman, and now you got a little mixed race baby running around. And your daughter's adorable, Ryan. But that was a fucking bullshit scumbag thing to say.
Yeah.
And then he put up this, and then people started pointing out his daughter. And he got defensive, which I get, right? Leave my kids out of it.
Right. But
leave my family out of it. But you brought family into it.
Yeah, you did.
Ryan.
Yeah.
And then he made a half-ass apology where never once in the apology does he apologize to RG3. Like, and here's what I want to ask you. Everybody listens.
So you're not sorry. You're sorry you got caught.
If you had a Caucasian ESPN employee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Look at Ryan Clark and say, Ryan, you can't criticize Caitlin Clark because you're not married to a white woman.
Yep.
You don't
Shoes
know
on the other foot argument.
what this is and that is and whatever.
How does that go?
And now, for the record, I think the argument's absurd on either side.
Agreed.
You're right, telling me that I can't have an opinion or comment on something that was on national goddamn television.
Right.
Because of the color of my skin is ridiculous, right?
It is.
It absolutely is. But if a white employee had that same opinion at ESPN, they would be looking for a new job.
100.
Right?
100.
Where Ryan Clark continues to get featured. And I don't know about you, I don't watch as much of ESPN as I used to, right?
Yeah, we did an episode on that not too long ago.
Yeah. But when I do see clips, when I do see things here involving Ryan Clark, every take he has, and it doesn't matter what sport he's talking about, is absurd.
Yeah.
It's absurd. The man played fucking professional football, and when he talks about it, you would never know it.
Yeah.
Because he sounds like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I never did like him. I never liked his commentary. I never knew much about him. But I never really liked some takes. Like you said, they weren't really... Yeah, I don't remember him ever having a take that I was like, oh yeah, Ryan Clark said that. I can't think of one. Except for this.
Yeah. Except for this one. Yeah. Since we're talking about Clark and it's on the Angel thing, before we get into your scumbag nomination,
Yeah.
Your girl got benched.
Oh, yeah.
Your girl got benched.
Yeah. Look, let's be really clear. Let's be really clear. I'm not an Angel Reese fan, nor am I an Angel Reese apologist. I think that Angel Reese is playing with hate in her heart. She's mad, and I don't know that it's necessarily at Caitlin Clark. I think she's just mad.
Yeah.
She wants to be heard more than she's being heard. She wants to be taken seriously more than she's been taken seriously.
And she's not as good at the game as she thinks she is.
100%.
There are certain sports books out there that will let you bet on if
she missed the first shot.
The first shot.
I love that.
And there's a group out there on TikTok that you can find.
Yep.
That has made that bet on every single one of them.
And they're making money doing it.
And they're making
Those are
money
hilarious.
doing it. Yes.
It's one of my favorites, yeah.
Not only that, somebody went back and broke down. So she became the fastest player in WNBA history to 500 rebounds, right?
Yeah.
Which is impressive. And a good number of those are offensive rebounds. Somebody went back and did the math on what percentage of her rebounds came from her own misses.
Yes.
And it was like 20 or 30%.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an astronomical number.
It's stupid high. I don't remember the exact number, so it may be lower than what I'm saying, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot higher than any man's would have been. I'll tell you shit right now.
I remember seeing that. And thinking that makes sense. And actually, it was RG3, I believe, who put this out. He said if you put Angel Reese in a stadium for practice by herself, and you gave her all day to practice, she would walk out with 10 points and 10,000 rebounds. I was like, yes!
Oh my goodness, that's great.
So
that's great. And her rival, that only she sees as a rival, Caitlin Clark, recently did an interview, or not an interview, a video with Dude Perfect, where she's making shots from the stands.
That's nuts.
They had one where she was like
she's
15, 20 rows back behind the basket and made it.
Yeah. So here's my rationale for this nomination. Because you, Angel...
You're nominating Angel Reese? I thought we were going Ammo Lady.
Oh, goddamn. I'm going to wait on Angel Reese.
Yeah. I don't think Angel Reese has done anything this year yet that makes her scumbag worthy. I did send you an article about the Ammo Lady.
Yeah. She's getting close, though.
She's getting close. I agree, Cole. I agree. But
no,
there's things...
She's there. She's
there's
there,
things that
but I'm
she's
gonna
doing
save my
this year
rationale.
because, like, you know, for example, last year, she made that comment about, you know, in 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is, when people look back and they'll realize that they weren't just watching women's basketball for one player, they were watching it for me too.
Yeah.
Well, like, her first game, or maybe it was a preseason game, she struggled pretty bad.
Yeah.
And a reporter asked her about that quote. She's like, no comment, we're not doing that right now,
Yeah.
right? So I think she's learning a little bit. I think there's some growth there.
Which is good.
But she's going to do something that'll warrant her on this list. We talked about it earlier, we felt like Ryan Clark and the one we're about to get into deserved it much more, especially the one we're about to get into.
Yeah, you'll see why Angel Reese was usurped. We will have that conversation though, because she will end up on my list. Me watching the WNBA is not a racist thing. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. That pissed me off. This lady, though, this fucking winner, I don't know how many of you who watch or ever will watch, probably none of you, but in San Antonio, we have a strong contingent of hood rats. It's these hood rat, it's these girls that just really embrace that idea of being as thuggish as possible, really embracing that.
They got the drawn-on eyebrows.
Yeah, the wow brows. Yeah. So this lady heard her son come up with a plot to shoot up the school. Instead of doing what I think a normal parent would do, is like, hey, you should think twice about that. Hey, let's get some therapy. No. I guess they didn't have an HSA because mama went and got bullets.
Typically, to have an HSA, you need a job.
That's a good point. The EBT doesn't come with that. Yeah. So this lady went and got bullets and weaponry for her son, helped him plot this attack. Thank goodness it didn't work, right? That's here in San Antonio. This is really close to home, and I mean, obviously, all shootings, I think, or shooting related activity is really close to home for a lot of people. But it's always something else when it's happening in your backyard, you know. Now I've got that. We've got that friend that was shot in the back, right? And that was real close to home at a church. He was up on the stage, literally playing guitar, singing praise, and then it was over with. That's another discussion for another time. This lady, not only does this lady need to be on this list, I think that we should really consider making her the winner of this whole fucking ordeal.
Yeah,
this lady's a piece of shit.
Hard to beat. I foresee a scenario where the finals might be this lady versus shit lady.
So that would be a great one. So listen to this. I'm just going to read a little bit of it because I think it's worth having the context there, right? A Texas mother has been charged with aiding her son's plot a terror attack against a middle school by buying him ammunition and tactical gear. This bitch bought him tactical gear.
And that means in middle school, unless her kid failed several times, that means he's somewhere between 11 and 14 years old.
You do bring up a good point. I bet he failed multiple times. So he gets some tactical gear. The Ashley Rosalinda Pardo. You can look this up on the news, so I'm not doxing anybody. This is a thing. Finally arrested her on Monday, and then they came up with all of this bullshit. So the kid had violent drawings. He was fascinated with mass shootings, and then knowing all of this, having seen this, instead of, like I said, hey, no, that's a bad idea, let's go talk to a therapist. No, let's go to the gun shop and get you a fucking flak vest.
Hey, man, that's just a mom supporting her son's interest. You have a kid have a hobby?
Not this kid.
Not this kid.
This kid can take a long walk off a short fucking pier.
Yeah. And you are right about it hitting too close to home. You know, our producer today is my son. We'll draw the curtain back. And he just completed middle school. Well, one of his last days of the school year, they found a gun in a kid's backpack. Second to last day of the school year.
That is nuts.
A gun in a seventh grader, right? Called?
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah, and supposedly the kid said he was holding it for somebody or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and
no.
That is literally the oldest excuse in the book, you know.
Yeah. It's not mine. I was holding it for him.
When I was about 14 or 15, my mom found a bag of oregano in my room.
It's not mine.
Oregano.
I'm holding it for
I
somebody.
was holding that for Joe Walker, Mom.
Rolled on your buddy.
Threw him right under the bus. Threw him right under the bus.
So yeah, that's my nomination this week. We'll make sure we get those up on the board.
We'll get the board. We got some stuff working. To get up a little digital bracket that we'll have on the TV, and
that's
we
right.
can bracket it out and decide if we're going 16 or 32 or 64.
And we're replacing the dry erase board. I've got to get that hung up, but it's more space, so we'll be able to get those on there. But yeah, that bracket is going strong. When is it that we said that we were March. That's right.
We're gonna run it with March Madness. I think that'll be a good plan.
I think that'll be perfect.
So we got some time there.
So,
we got some time.
Hey, make your nominations. Hit us up.
Yeah. Hit us up on the socials. We're at daBudz2000 on X, at daBudz on TikTok, at daBudz76 at daBudz76 on TikTok, at daBudz on YouTube.
Yeah, you got it.
A lot of daBudz. Real quick.
Oh, we gotta talk about our guy.
Well, there's a couple that I want to talk about that we lost here that meant something to me.
So this is important.
The first one, George Wendt passed away a week or so ago. Now, if you don't know who the man George Wendt is, Norm from Cheers. He's also Ted Lasso's uncle, Jason Sudeikis' uncle.
Okay.
There was some big celebrity softball game the other day that George Wendt always used to play in. Mm-hmm. So Jason Sudeikis was actually wearing his jersey, right? And anyway, one of the inspirations for the name of this podcast was the Superfans sketch, the Rob Jaworski or something Superfans. Yeah. The Polish Superfans from Chicago, right? Because George Wendt got his start as part of one of the Second City Saints or Second City Players, and a lot of those guys went to SNL. Right. I had it written down. There was a huge amount of people that came from that with him. Guys like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, the Belushis. Anyway, their big sketch, the Superfan sketch,
let's see if we can.
Where they talk about all things Chicago sports, was the Bears, and that is one of the inspirations for this.
There's our guy. There's our guy.
We can't play too much more of the skit because of copyright.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's the guy. And so big ups to Norm. He was a comedic genius. I had some because we were talking about this the other day and we ended up not recording. Yeah. He had some amazing one-liners. I know that the writers wrote them on Cheers or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But one of the best parts of Cheers in every episode is when Norm came into the bar. The bar would yell, Norm! And he'd go, good afternoon, everybody, Norm! And then Woody or Sam or Coach, whoever was behind the bar, would always ask him how he's doing, if he wants a beer. There was one where he said something along the lines, Woody goes, hey, Mr. Peterson, how's life treating you today? Yeah. And Norm answers like he caught me in wife with his bed, or like he caught me in bed with his wife. Another one was, and this one has been said over and over again. But this is the first place I ever heard it. He said, "It's a doggy-dog world, and I'm wearing milk-bone underwear." Right? Yeah. He had some great ones. If you're gonna go back and watch one Norm episode of Cheers, right? Cheers is my comfort show, and there's one where Frasier and Lilith at this point are married. They have a kid, and the kid's trying to get his first word. And Lilith is stressed and can't stay home with the baby anymore, so she leaves him with Frasier. So naturally, Frasier takes the baby to the bar. Right? Now, Norm is in and out of the bar all day that day. Because the subplot was they put a parking meter up in front of the bar. So Norm's got to go up. Yeah. So every time, every couple hours he goes, feeds the meter. Every time he walks back in, whole bar yells Norm. Yeah. So Lilith comes in, discovers Frasier's at the bar with Freddie, the baby. Yeah. And our baby will never learn how to talk in a place like this. There's no culture here. All of a sudden, Norm walks in, and it's the only time in the whole series where he walks in the bar and the whole crowd doesn't scream Norm. Yeah. When he walks in, all you hear is the baby go, Norm! and then Lilith goes, oh my God, he said Mom! And then,
And the rest of the crowd, no, that didn't happen.
It's so funny. There's a lot of great Norm episodes out there. Definitely check out Cheers.
Check out this skit as well. It's an SNL
skit as well.
Definitely great. And like you said, this is where the name kind of came from. Is they repeat that daBears,
Yeah.
daBears,
daBudz.
daBudz,
daBotz.
daBotz.
Yeah.
Right. So that's gonna be the thing.
Yeah.
And it's a cool little nod because we decided to do this long before we found out. Like we've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
We've known this name for a little while. We had to make some adjustments to it, but yeah, go check this out. Go learn more about our guy. Fantastic comedian. I wanted to be like when I walked into bars. I wanted to be Norm. I wanted people to right. That's the effort that I made.
There's a little place that I used to be a regular at, and sometimes I don't go as often. I'll walk in about once a year, twice a year, and every time I do, there's like 10 dudes just walking. It's the coolest thing. Yeah, and wanted to be Norm. You know, most people that would watch that show would have strived to be Sam. You know.
Yeah. No.
Major League Baseball player, nailing all the hot women. I'm like, no, I just want to be the fat guy on the end of the bar drinking.
I know my limitations.
But yeah, Norm was great. I really, really, truly believe that the 80s and 90s were the golden age of television sitcoms, right? Of television sitcoms. To me, Cheers is one, right?
Yep.
Number 2 is MASH.
Yep.
It's going to be MASH. We also lost Hot Lips Houlihan from MASH the other day.
Oh no!
So wanted to give Hot Lips some love as well.
Give Hot Lips some love.
Yeah, and I feel like a piece of shit because I cannot remember her real name. But oh, Hot Lips.
All right. Margaret Houlihan.
Yeah, that was the character.
That was the character. We're gonna
And
put her
Hawkeye and the crew called her Hot Lips.
Yeah. I'm gonna put her up there because
My
her.
grandpa served in the Korean War, and that's where MASH took place.
Yeah.
Supposedly, he was in the Korean War, and he never watched MASH. You know, when it was on originally. He didn't watch it, and finally somebody was, man, give it a shot, give it a shot. This is back in the day. There's actually a Jason Boland song about the society, the downfall of society, and one of the things he says in the song is they don't show MASH on the tube no more.
Yeah.
Right, and so anyway, back then,
Cheap bourbon whiskey and pearl snap shirts.
There you go.
That's a great.
Back in the day, MASH was on all the time, and it actually still is. I watch it every morning while I'm working from home. But he started watching it.
Yeah.
So every time when I was a kid, my grandpa lived in Oklahoma. My dad had moved back to Oklahoma, but he worked in the oil field, was at work all the time. So I was supposed to be spending my summers with my dad, but most of that time spent with B-Ball and Paw, right?
Yeah.
And so every night, me and Paw watched 3 or 4 episodes of MASH. It was like a block of MASH on.
Yeah.
So I've seen them all, and so Margaret Houlihan, big ups to you.
87. I
Yeah,
didn't
what
realize
was
she
her
was that
name?
old. Loretta Swit.
Loretta Swit and George Wendt. Big ups to both of you.
There we go.
Some childhood favorites of daBudz.
Yeah, it's man, that's becoming a more prevalent thing. We're starting to see
I know.
our heroes go out the
You know,
door, bro.
with Cheers, one of the crazy things about that show is they were able to retool the cast, lose important cast members,
Yeah.
and keep it going. You know, the original goofy bartender was Coach,
Right.
And the Coach episodes do not get enough love. Coach was phenomenal. Unfortunately, the actor that played Coach passed away, and so they had to replace him on the fly, and that's where Woody comes in.
Gotcha.
Right, and then Shelley Long was the main female lead.
Yeah.
She got a little big for her britches, wanted to go do movies. Boom, Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
You know Kirstie Alley. But Kirstie Alley was another one when she passed. I know a lot of people were upset with her because she was a little outspoken politically. I typically don't give a fuck. I can typically, separate the art from the artist. And
Yeah, I don't have to believe what you believe to appreciate your
honestly,
work.
I kind of liked a lot of what she said. She was pretty conservative.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, but she was another one that she passed away just because of the love I have for that show and that cast.
No.
That got me.
And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Hey man, are we still on pace for June 16th?
June 16th, man, we're on pace. In fact, so we got the rear end stabbed in on the car last weekend. Not this one, but the previous. Got the rear end stabbed in. We got the so we had to rerun. So I don't know if I told you this or not, but when we first got the car, it was set up for another class. Well, you have to be within certain regulations for each class. This setup gave it too much power. My class can't have that much power. So some of the things we had to do, or one of the things we had to do was we had to pull the heads off the block and we had to replace those.
I bet Tim the Toolman Taylor hates your class.
Oh,
He's all about more
certain
power.
he does. Yeah, he would
That was
not
my-
be okay with this.
That was my tism interrupting.
That was the tism. He would not be okay with this at all. So we pulled the headers off and we replaced them with shorter headers. Now, one of the things that did, when they ran all their wires, so like the spark plug wires and some of the electrical stuff, they ran it right by the headers. I don't know why you would do that, because the headers are like the hottest exposed part of the vehicle.
Yeah.
So when you leave a car, or well, one of these cars all open, no, you just leave the throttle open, they turn red. You can actually make them turn red with heat.
Holy hell.
Yeah, and they were running plastic and rubber cables near these motherfuckers. So we're like, okay, well that doesn't work. So I had to do all that rewiring, all the rerunning. This week I have to go and finalize the setup on the seat. I have to get the air set up, so I've got an air intake for my helmet, because it's South Texas, it's going to be 100 degrees. I'm going to want a little bit of air on my head inside that helmet, so I've got to get that set up. June 9th, I have my first practice laps.
Okay.
They're Chris, that friend I was telling you about that got shot. He is putting that on with another guy that actually helped me build the car. They're coming out. They're going to teach a bunch of us how to drive, what to listen for, this kind of thing, and then we're going to get out there and do some practice laps. This is going to be the first time I've actually driven the car that wasn't up on a ramp. Right? Like, this is a big moment. So we're going to really see a lot about, number one, how the car functions, and we're going to see a lot about how I function as a driver. So this is going to be our first real big test. Now, once that's done, as you said, on the 16th, that's going to be my first live race. This will be the opportunity for me to get out there and show what I've learned. As always, anyone who wants to come and join, please come out.
Oh, we're going to make it a thing on the 16th.
We need to make it a thing. I would love to see as many people
We're going
as
to have
possible.
prizes. We're going to be drinking beer with, well, I'll be drinking beer with the people.
I will not be drinking beer. That's frowned upon.
I don't think that mix very
Yeah,
well.
that's frowned upon. But yeah, no, it's going to be a thing. And then in between, each race, right? So we have multiple heats, and then there'll be multiple races for my class. So I'll probably race twice, possibly 3 times, but I have to win something to do that, and I'm not counting on winning. So, but in between those, I can be out in the stands, I can be, talking to people. Please come join us. Like you said, we're going to have some prizes to give away. Want to make sure you guys get to enjoy that. It's a family-friendly event. Please bring your kids out. I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity to meet some people. And like you said, I'm so excited to be getting into this car. It's one of those crazy things where you're like, I wanted to do this. I know I want to, and I'm gonna do this. But the closer you kind of get a little nervous. About
Yeah.
it. You're like, oh man, like this is gonna happen. But wow, this is a lot. This is big. So I'm getting to that place. And when I get to that place, I know that's because I respect it, right? That's because it's something that I really, really want, and I want to make sure that I'm doing it right. The guys out there have been excellent. My buddy Chris, David Gibson, he's been helping us out. He does a lot of the manufacturing. Richard Flores, he helped us out with the drive shafts over at Alamo Truck and Parts. He's one of our sponsors. We've got, I can't remember the fellow's name that did the rear end. I'll have to get his name out there. But we've got a lot of people that have put in a lot of effort on this car. And I really want to get out there and make sure that we give them a good show. So
Thanks,
I'm
man.
looking forward to it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's so exciting.
That's good stuff coming up. We'll all be there for that. Want to give you an update too. I am still on the socials, and it's getting some good reviews, some good feedback. Doing our little bit, daBudz versus daBotz. daBotz lately have been very player prop heavy, right? Which cost them. Saturday, I participated in an event called the Corporate Cup, where like 100 different businesses got together and we just played sports against each other all day. And it was fucking awesome, but it was a whole day thing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to get anything in on Saturday. Sunday, my ankle was like 3 times bigger than it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get any bets in, but Friday I did. And Friday, the bots only went 1-7.
That's crazy.
Because they were hitting me with, they only picked 2 games, and one of them was on the money line, and then the other one was one was on the run line, one was on the money line. They lost them both. Everything else they did was props, and they only hit one. They had an Aaron Judge home run. So the bots are struggling right now. They're at 108, 117, and 4. But I think the AI is getting smarter with their picks, right? Mm-hmm. Today, AI didn't give me any prop bets.
Okay.
It was all straight money line.
Okay.
And it was all, the Dodgers at minus 164, the Tigers at minus 208, and San Francisco at minus 175. It was all very heavy favorites. Nobody you're going to make a lot of money on, but tickets you make cash.
So this is actually very interesting. So one of the things, and we kind of started talking about it earlier, but I didn't want to go too far into it so we could have the conversation here. The AI is a learning engine, right? Mm-hmm. It takes what you've given it and it learns and adapts from that. There are millions of us that are accessing this stuff and we're interacting with it every day. You're getting these bets. Now, there was a point in time where you told me that it stopped giving you bets, and that flagged in my mind as a moment, and I kind of let it go. But
all three have stopped at various times that we use.
But it was a that's interesting moment. Now you've come back and they're starting to pick bets, but they're starting to pick bets on a different framework.
Yeah,
right? They went to the prop bets. Said, okay, that to me sounded like it learned something about betting. That to me sounds like a lot of people, not just you and I, have figured out that AI can make these bets and it's adapting. And now you're telling me that it's gone to these favorite bets, but they're not prop bets. So it does seem like it's learning and transitioning into something that knows how to bet.
Yeah, and today when I asked it for its picks, it actually, I was using a Copilot today, and it was actually not only giving the picks, but then it was providing like, this expert from CBS says this about this matchup, right?
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's where sometimes it doesn't give picks, because baseball is continuous, right? Yeah. Every day there's 12 more games, 13 more games, whatever, right?
But there might not always be news.
And so so I think that's why too. I think when we do the bit with football, where it's like, hey, Thursday there's one game. Right. Sunday there's 10.
And that whole week leading up to it, there's going to be all kinds of news.
I think it'll do better with football personally. But like I said, they're struggling a bit right now. They're 108, 117, and 4. I was hot as a $2 pistol there for a minute, and
she was hot
than
a $2 pistol. Sorry.
Went cold as all get out there for a moment. I had a couple over days. I had a 1-7 day one day. But I'm still holding strong, 6 games over 500. We're at 124, awesome. 118, and 5 on the year.
I mean, 6 games over 500 in betting is pretty.
Well, especially when we've bet,
it's pretty solid.
124 plus 118 plus 5. So that's
I don't do math.
250 something or not 50 something. Oh no, that I should know that off the top of my head, and now my brain just stopped working. I'm gonna add that real quick.
I don't care that much. Like.
So we bet 247 games.
Okay,
right?
so it was 250
on the 250, but
we
bet 247 games, and to be over 500, especially in baseball, right? Like imagine, a lot of the novice gamblers out there, they like to bet a little football, right?
Yeah.
So now imagine if before you bet on a football game, you need to look and see if it's one of 5 different quarterbacks starting.
Yeah.
Because it's a certain guy's turn in the rotation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that's kind of what you got to do with baseball. Now today, there's one bet that I really, really like. So. AI, like I said, gave us 3 big favorites, right? Well, one of those favorites I actually bet against. But I got a 14 parlay today. None of the games have started yet as of us recording this.
Yeah.
It's Minnesota, Detroit, Miami, and the Dodgers. Now, all 4 of these teams are minus 165 or higher, right? And when I bet them, when you put them together in a parlay, the book will give you more favorable odds because you got to hit them all.
Yeah.
So I got this 14 parlay at big time favorites at plus 509, right? And one of those games is, I take that one game has started. It's the Miami's playing the Rockies, and we talked about.
Yeah.
3 wins since May 2nd.
Those Rockies.
Now the Marlins are still 10 games under 500. They're not very good. I don't like to bet on bad teams, but this felt like an opportunity here. And they're currently beating Colorado 4-3 in the 4th. So, but the Dodgers are playing later tonight against the Mets. The Mets are pitching a guy, Blackburn, coming off an injury. I think it's his first start of the year.
Yeah.
Historically, the Dodgers actually hit this guy really well.
Yeah.
The Twins, who we talked on a little bit about that big win streak they had a couple weeks ago, they've got the A's tonight, and it's in Sacramento.
Okay. Yeah.
The A's are the team without a home. Oakland, when they're playing in their little minor league stadium, it's the Oakland A's, but they're playing in Sacramento, and next year they'll be the Vegas A's.
Yeah.
It's a weird deal, but at home this year, they're only 9-19. This is a team that's won 23 games, and only 9 of them have been won at home.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I was digging that. And who else do I say here? Detroit. Detroit's the best team in the American League, maybe the best team in baseball. And they had a pretty weak opponent. Oh, they're playing the White Sox, the second worst team in baseball. So you got the best team in baseball and second worst team in baseball. And that game actually just started. Look, top of the first inning, Detroit's already up 2-0. Right? And then my last one was we've got Minnesota, Detroit, Miami, and the Dodgers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I also gave you guys, if you're watching the videos today, Boston, who unfortunately is getting their ass kicked at the moment. But daBudz's favorite team this year to watch is the Brewers.
Yeah.
I'm betting against them today. We got the Cincinnati Reds. They're currently beating the
Okay.
Brewers.
Okay.
And then I always search for at least one plus money bet that I can feel pretty confident about.
Yeah.
Like I told you guys, daBotz went with San Francisco at -175, which means I got the San Diego Padres at +148. Okay, right? San Diego's a team that on the year is 33-24.
Yeah.
You're gonna make them that big of a dog. Like
Yeah.
it just didn't add up to me.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So and not only that. So check this out. Brendan Webb is pitching for San Francisco. He's 5-5 with a 2.82 ERA on the year, 84 strikeouts, great numbers, right?
Right.
But they, this is what they are hitting against him. San Diego, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
He's batting 615, 238.
Jesus.
This is from that app, so I don't know if I can send it to your
Okay.
iPad. I'm not sure how to on that.
No worries.
But if you have the MLB app, all that information's there available for you. That was just some of my process, right? What I go through with these games and trying to find a window large enough during my work day.
Yeah.
Break, lunch break, something, depending on what time games start that day, to sit down and do a proper amount of research and do it right so we can stay profitable.
I just had a pretty fun idea. I'm sure somebody else is doing it.
Mhm.
But we could do a battle to the bottom bracket.
Yeah.
And we could pick who we think the worst teams will be and why. Right?
You know what? Yeah, we can. Let's do that for football.
Yeah.
Let's do that for the NFL season.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like we each pick 3 teams
Mhm.
that we say, we'll refine this, but because we're producing on the fly here. We'll pick 3 teams, right, that we each decide these teams will not fucking make the playoffs.
Yep.
And if one of your 3 makes the playoffs, that's 1 spin on the wheel, on the punishment wheel.
Oh, yeah.
2 make it, it's
Yeah.
2 spins. All 3 of your
You got
no
3
shot
spins.
playoff teams, that's 3 spins
I
on the
like
punishment
that.
wheel.
I'm a fan.
In the punishment wheel. Speaking of the punishment wheel, I still owe one. We just haven't had time to sit down to get it set up and film it. I've got some ideas. I've got to eat $100 worth of McDonald's in like a short period of time.
Oh,
Right?
that's easy.
You say that.
I feel like I can do that.
Yeah.
Son, I'm the one that pays for your food, and I know for a fact you can do that.
You remember they were back in the day when we were stupider young men. You remember we bought those 100 tacos from Jack in the Box?
Yes.
I had just gotten paid. I was drunk off my ass. It's
Yes.
like, I don't know, 2 in the morning. The only thing that's open is Jack in the Box, and I was
Can I
like,
get a $50 worth of, or 50 orders of tacos?
yeah, they were, because
Just
they
2
were
tacos in a
like
pack?
2 for $1 at the time. They were 2 for $1, and it's like,
Fucking
he
inflation.
said, we want to get some of those tacos. How many? He says, I got $50. No, and we ate all of them motherfuckers.
We did.
It was-
We did.
And the next morning, had the runs.
That was probably around the same time as our life that we also went and picked up like 12 dozen Krispy Kreme or whatever, and
Oh yeah, that's another
got
story.
got
for
pulled
another
over
time.
and bribed the police with some Krispy Kreme because pigs love donuts.
So,
I mean,
the
officers-
reason the
officers-
stereotype exists?
Dude, so I still ended up with a ticket, so I can't even say that I bribed him.
Yeah, no, it was an unsuccessful
Yeah,
bribe.
what it was.
And it wasn't actually your bribe.
No, it was
It
this
was
guy
my bribe.
I'm driving. He's sitting in the passenger seat. And this is when Krispy Kreme first opened in San Antonio. So everybody wanted to try it. There's long lines. They were open 24 hours a day. It's
Before that, we had to go to Austin to get it.
Yeah. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we decide to make a donut run. The only donut place was the only Krispy Kreme was across town. We're driving home. Now, back then, you had to have an inspection sticker on your car. Mine had expired. Right? So we're on the way home. We get pulled over. Now, we may have been drinking at some point that night. There may have been other stuff going on. Who knows, right? This is my thought as I'm getting pulled over is just don't get arrested.
Yeah. I
don't care about the ticket. Just don't get arrested. What? Before the cop walks up to the car, this fuck goes, I'm going to offer him a donut. And I said, don't you fucking do that. Don't you
and I can't stop smiling at this point because I know I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So the cop gets up to the window. Jolly goes, officer, would you like a donut? And opens up one of the dozen donuts. And the cop is pissed. What the fuck you mean by that? And I quickly go, Officer, Krispy Kreme's brand new in town. Everybody wants to try it. We're just being polite. This cocksucker gives me a ticket and then takes 2 boxes of donuts.
He took the donuts.
Wow.
This fool took the donuts
2
with him.
whole ass boxes.
Bro.
We still had so many donuts.
We still had more than enough donuts. Because it was a buy one dozen, get one free at that point,
Something,
wasn't it?
yeah,
It was
some
something
sort of
stupid
promotion.
like that.
Yeah, we had 6 or 8 dozen of these motherfuckers.
You should have seen the shit-eating grin on my face. I was just so happy with myself.
What I should have done in hindsight is not said a word.
Yeah.
And let that cop pull you out of the car and beat the shit out of you. That's what I should have done.
Nah, I wouldn't
And
have.
then-
I don't resist.
That was back before. that was back before camera phones, so we wouldn't even made any money on it.
We wouldn't have.
Cops didn't even wear cameras on them.
We'd have
They
walked
didn't
away
have
with
body
nothing but an
cams.
ass whooping.
Yeah.
That would
You
have
would
been
have walked
I would have driven away while you were taking the ass whooping.
Oh, my
Shenanigans.
goodness. Shenanigans. All the shenanigans.
fuck.
No.
Well,
Man, I think that just kind of going back to it, I think that the battle to the bottom thing is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun.
We need to.
We didn't even draft our teams.
We
Make
need
sure
to
we don't
draft
have
our
the same.
teams, and we need to make sure we have the punishment wheel
Yeah.
locked down, right?
Yep.
But those will be things for next time.
I agree. And on that note, you're just a parlay away. 4-teamer today, by the way, at +509.
He's just saying. He's just saying.
Just a parlay away from making all your dreams come true.
All right, kids. We'll catch up with you next time.
daBudz.
daBudz.
Big ups, Norm and Hot Lips.